Hi, thank you for joining me for our 5-minute Bible study today. We continue in the book of Colossians chapter 1, and today we're going to be in verse 18. As always, please go ahead and read verses 15 through 20 so you get the full context of what we're reading here today in verse 18. Remember, a verse outside of its context does not help us whatsoever. We need to understand the context that the verse is in so we can understand what the writer is actually trying to tell us. So go ahead and read that context while we today go ahead into verse 18. So here it goes. He is also the head of the body, the church. And he is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he himself will come to have first place in everything. And so as I read that, you might have heard there's really 3 parts of that verse. So we're going to go ahead and look at all 3 parts individually. The first part here says, he is also the head of the body, the church. So Paul uses that term body fairly often. And when he uses that term body, he means the church. Here he's actually defined it for us. He's told us the body, the church. So we understand he's talking about the church. And what's he say about the church? He says Jesus is the head of the church. And that's an important thing for us to understand because too often many churches think that the pastor is the head of the church or the board is the head of the church or the family is the head of the church. They find some head of the church that isn't Jesus. And that's a broken church, to be honest, because without Jesus as its head, there is no church. It's like a chicken with the head cut off. The body may run around still doing the things that it might normally do, but without the head, it's dead. So we don't want to be a dead church. We want to be a live church, and that's recognizing that Jesus is the head. So what does it mean for Jesus to be the head? It means that Jesus is our guide. He's our leader. He's the one that tells us where to go, what to do, and how to do it. So our job is to be open to hearing what he's saying, open to knowing what his leading is, so we can move in the direction that our head is calling us to go. So that's the important part for us to understand. Jesus is the head of the church. Our job is to recognize that and to follow him. But it doesn't change the fact that Jesus is the head of the church, whether we follow him or not. He is the head of the church. And that's Paul's point, that he is the head of the body of the church. And the second point, he is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. So this firstborn keeps popping up in this hymn. He is the firstborn of the dead. In this particular case, what does firstborn mean? Well, we get a hint from it right before it says he is the beginning. So there's a good hint that he is chronologically the firstborn in this case. He is the beginning. Speaks to time. So he is the firstborn of the dead. He is the first to have risen from the dead. We recognize that in the resurrection. When Jesus was resurrected from the dead and rose again, he was the first one to come back from the dead in his resurrected body. Other people have come back from the dead, but none in their resurrected body. They've all died again. Jesus has not died again. After he died, he rose, and he's still alive. He's sitting at the right hand of the Father right now in heaven in his resurrected body. So we recognize that we don't know what our resurrected body is going to be like, but John tells us straightforward that though we don't know what we will be, that when Jesus comes back and we see him, we will be like him. So he's the firstborn of the dead. We will follow him in the resurrection, but he is firstborn in it. So not only is he firstborn chronologically, but he's firstborn in eminence. He is the most important of all the dead as well, because he's the first to have risen from the dead. So we see that, and that comes to this conclusion here, that so that he himself will come to have first place in everything. So first place in everything means that he is preeminent in all things. Why is this? Why is Paul saying that? Well, because throughout this hymn, he's pointed out a bunch of things about Jesus. He's told us that he is the creator of all things, that he was before all things, that he's eternal, that he is the head of the church, that he holds the universe together and keeps it going and continues the universe in his power, that he is the most important and the first to have been resurrected. So through all these things, it points to the fact that he is first in all things, that he is truly God, that he is most important. So when we recognize who Jesus is, we do like Paul does. We just can't help but worship him. And so that's where we're at today. We're at a point of recognizing that Jesus has done all these things, that he is preeminent in all things, takes first place in all things, and therefore he is worthy of our worship. So we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining me as we did verse 18. Join me tomorrow as we do verse 19. And that said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. And if you have any comments whatsoever, put them in the comments below. And thank you for helping out with this Bible study. Keep on sharing it. Keep on liking it. Let's try to get this Word of God out into the world. I appreciate you so much for being with me and joining in with what we're doing here. Please come back tomorrow. Join us again tomorrow. And until then, God bless you.